The notification came through at 2:47 p.m. on a Thursday. My phone buzzed during what should have been a routine family dinner at Mom and Dad's house. I glanced at the screen and saw the storage facility alert. Unit 247 access log updated. I didn't react. Not yet. You're on that phone again, Dad said from across the table, his tone carrying that familiar edge of disappointment. Always buried in that screen. No wonder you can't hold down a real relationship. My sister Jennifer smirked from her seat beside Mom. At 32, she'd built what the family considered a proper life. Married to a corporate lawyer, 2 kids in private school, a house in the suburbs that Mom loved to brag about at church. She worked part-time as a real estate agent, mostly showing houses to her country club friends. I was 29, single, living in what they called that sad little apartment downtown. Working what they assumed was some boring government desk job that I never talked about. Sorry, I said quietly, setting my phone face down on the table. Work notification. Work, Jennifer repeated with a laugh. Your mysterious government paperwork job. Are you finally going to tell us what you actually do all day? Or is filing boring reports classified information now? The table erupted in laughter. Even Mom, who usually tried to be supportive in her own way, smiled into her wine glass. Jennifer's just concerned, Mom said, reaching over to pat my hand. We all are, sweetie. You're almost 30. Still in that apartment. No prospects. We just want to see you settled like your sister. I'm fine, Mom. Fine, Dad scoffed. Fine is what people say when they're definitely not fine. Your sister closed 3 house sales this month. Her husband just made junior partner. Their youngest one that's spelling bee. What do you have to show for the last year? I could have told them. I could have explained that I spent the last year embedded with a task force investigating one of the largest domestic terrorism networks in the region. That the boring paperwork involved analyzing financial transactions, communication patterns, and supply chain logistics for weapons trafficking. That my sad little apartment was actually chosen for its proximity to the federal building and its secure parking garage. I could have mentioned that Unit 247 at the storage facility contained 3 years of physical evidence, documents, hard drives, communication devices, financial records, all meticulously cataloged and secured as part of an ongoing federal investigation. Evidence that would be presented in court in exactly 47 days. But I didn't. I never did. I'm doing okay, I said instead. Just taking things one day at a time. Jennifer rolled her eyes. That's exactly the problem. You have no ambition. No drive. You just coast through life in your little bubble, pretending you're somehow above it all. I'm not pretending anything. You're wasting your life, Dad added, cutting into his steak with more force than necessary. At your age I had a career. A family. A house. You have a studio apartment and a job you won't even talk about because you're probably embarrassed by how mundane it is. My phone buzzed again. Another notification. I didn't look at it. Actually, Mom said, her voice taking on that particular tone that meant she'd been planning this conversation, your father and I have been talking. We're worried about you financially. I'm financially stable, Mom. Are you? She exchanged a look with Dad. Because we've been thinking about that storage unit you're paying for. Unit 247. The one you've had for 3 years now. My stomach tightened but my face remained neutral. What about it? We checked, Jennifer chimed in, looking pleased with herself. You're paying $270 a month for that unit. That's over $3,000 a year. For what? Boxes of junk you never look at. It's not junk. Then what is it? Dad demanded. Because you've never once mentioned needing anything from that unit. You've never gone back for anything. It's just money down the drain month after month for God knows what kind of worthless clutter you're hoarding. It's not worthless. And it's not clutter. So what is it? Mom pressed. We're your family. We deserve to know what you're wasting money on. I took a slow breath. It's work-related storage. I need it for my job. Your job, Jennifer laughed. Your mysterious paperwork job needs a storage unit full of junk? That makes 0 sense. I can't really discuss the details. Can't or won't. Dad's face was reddening now, the way it always did when he thought I was being difficult. Because from where I'm sitting, you're just making excuses for poor financial decisions. You're hemorrhaging money on useless storage while barely scraping by in that apartment. I'm not barely scraping by. Then prove it, Jennifer challenged. Show us your bank statements. Show us what you actually make at this job. Show us why paying $3,000 a year for storage makes any kind of financial sense. I don't need to prove anything to you. See? Mom said sadly. This is what we mean. You're so defensive. So secretive. We're trying to help you and you just push us away. I appreciate the concern, but I'm handling my finances. Well, we've decided to help you whether you appreciate it or not, Dad announced. He pulled out his phone and scrolled through something. Your mother went to that storage facility this morning. She has your emergency contact information on file from when you first rented the unit, remember? Since you listed us as family contacts. The tightening in my stomach intensified. What did you do? We cleaned it out, Mom said brightly. The facility manager was so understanding when I explained the situation. How you'd been struggling financially, making poor decisions, hoarding things you didn't need. We showed our IDs proving we were your parents and emergency contacts. They let us access the unit. You had no right. We had every right, Dad interrupted. We're your parents. We're trying to save you from yourself. Your mother spent 4 hours sorting through all that junk today. Boxes and boxes of old papers, electronics, random files. Nothing important. Nothing worth keeping. Jennifer was smiling now, that satisfied smile she always wore when she thought she'd won. Mom was amazingly practical about it. She called a junk removal service and they hauled most of it away. The electronics went to a recycling center. Some of the furniture pieces went to Goodwill. And the best part, Mom added, clearly proud of herself, is that we found a dealer who was interested in some of the items. Old filing cabinets, some equipment, boxes of cables and technical things. He paid us $800 for the lot. $800, Dad repeated. For junk you were just letting sit there. We're going to put that money toward canceling the storage unit and getting back your deposit. Should cover the early termination fee and leave you with a couple hundred extra. I sat very still. My hands were flat on the table, completely steady. My breathing was even. My voice when I spoke was calm. I need you to tell me exactly what you removed from that unit. Everything, Mom said happily. Well, almost everything. We left a few personal items we thought might have sentimental value. Some old photos, a box of books. But all the clutter? All those endless files and electronics and random junk? Gone. The unit is practically empty now. You can cancel it next month, Jennifer suggested. Save yourself that wasted money. Use it for something practical like a gym membership or therapy or something. My phone buzzed again. Then again. 3 notifications in rapid succession. There you go again, Dad said irritably. Glued to that phone like a teenager. Can you not be present for one family dinner? I picked up my phone. 4 messages from my team lead. 2 from the evidence custodian. 1 from the assistant director. I need to make a call, I said quietly, standing up. Oh, come on, Jennifer groaned. We're in the middle of dinner. Your mystery job can wait 30 minutes. This can't wait. This is exactly what we're talking about, Mom said, her voice taking on a hurt tone. You can't even enjoy a family dinner without running off to deal with whatever drama you've created at work. This is why you can't maintain relationships. This is why you're alone. I walked out of the dining room and into the hallway, already dialing. Chief. My team lead, Agent Marcus Webb, answered on the first ring. We have a situation. I know. What's the status? The facility's security cameras caught everything. Your mother and sister accessed Unit 247 at 9:23 a.m. They removed approximately 85% of the contents over a 4-hour period. We have footage of them loading multiple vehicles with boxes, filing cabinets, and electronic equipment. Where did it go? Some went to a junk removal service called Clean Sweep LLC. They confirmed they picked up approximately 2 tons of materials and took it to their processing center. We've already secured that location. Nothing was destroyed yet. And the rest? Your family sold approximately 40% of the electronics and equipment to a second-hand dealer called Tech Recyclers Plus. The owner confirmed the purchase. He paid $800 cash for items including 3 external hard drives, 2 laptops, a document scanner, multiple USB drives, 4 filing cabinets containing documents, and several boxes of cables and equipment. My jaw tightened, but my voice remained steady. Those hard drives contained encrypted backups of financial transaction records for the Northwood case. The laptops had forensic images of communications from the trafficking network. The filing cabinets contained original documents establishing the money laundering chain. I know, Chief. We've already notified the assistant director. She's in contact with the U.S. Attorney's office now. What about the dealer? Has he accessed any of it? Not yet. We've had eyes on his shop since we got the alert. He's closed for the day, said he was planning to process the new inventory tomorrow morning. Get a team there now. Secure everything before he opens those drives or touches those documents. I want everything photographed in place, chain of custody established, and transportation back to the federal evidence locker within 2 hours. Already in motion. Teams en route. But Chief, we have a bigger problem. Tell me. Your family's actions constitute evidence tampering in a federal investigation. They removed, sold, and disposed of materials that were secured as evidence under federal seal. The U.S. Attorney is going to have to address this. I closed my eyes briefly. I understand. There's more. Your sister posted about it on Facebook. About 40 minutes ago. She wrote a whole post about how they staged an intervention to help you clean out your hoarding storage unit. She included photos of herself and your mother loading boxes into her SUV. She tagged your mother and several family friends. Photos. Multiple. Clear images of them removing sealed evidence boxes. One photo shows your mom holding up a filing cabinet with visible case labels. Another shows your sister loading a box marked Financial Records Northwood Investigation. She captioned it, "Finally getting my sister to be practical about money. Send me screenshots of everything." Already in your secure email. But there's one more thing you need to know. What? Your mother told the storage facility manager that you were mentally unstable and making poor financial decisions. She signed a form claiming she was acting in your best interest as your emergency contact. The facility manager believed she was helping a struggling family member. The manager didn't call to verify with me? Your phone was listed as out of service in their system. Someone had called 3 days ago claiming to be you and said you were changing numbers, asked them to note the account. My family set this up. Looks that way. They planned this, Chief. This wasn't impulsive. I heard footsteps behind me. Mom appeared in the hallway looking concerned. Sweetie, is everything okay? You've been on the phone for 10 minutes. Your food is getting cold. I held up one finger, turning slightly away. Marcus, I need you to document every second of this. Every piece of evidence secured, every chain of custody established, every communication logged. This has to be airtight. Understood. What about your family? What about them? Chief, they've committed a federal crime. Multiple crimes. Evidence tampering, obstruction of justice, unauthorized access to secured materials. The U.S. Attorney is going to have to pursue charges. I know. These are serious charges. Your mother and sister could be looking at prison time. I'm aware of the consequences, Agent Webb. Secure the evidence. I'll deal with my family. Yes, ma'am. I ended the call and turned back to Mom, who was watching me with a mixture of concern and irritation. Is everything all right? She asked. You look upset. We need to go back to the dining room. I need to talk to everyone. This is about the storage unit, isn't it? She sighed. I knew you'd be annoyed at first, but you'll thank us eventually. Sometimes family has to make hard decisions for the people they love. Mom, please just go back to the dining room. We walked back together. Dad and Jennifer were laughing about something, wine glasses refilled. They looked up when we entered. Everything sorted with your very important phone call? Jennifer asked sarcastically. Not yet, I said, sitting back down. But we need to talk about the storage unit. There's nothing to talk about, Dad said firmly. What's done is done. You should be grateful that your mother spent her entire day helping you instead of being defensive about it. I need you to tell me exactly what you did with everything you removed. We already told you, Mom said, sounding exasperated. Junk removal service took most of it. Some went to recycling. We sold the electronics to that nice man at the tech shop. Got you $800. That should help with your rent. I don't need help with my rent. Obviously you do, Jennifer interjected. Otherwise, you wouldn't be wasting money on useless storage. Mom did you a favor. The least you could do is say thank you instead of being ungrateful. Did you look at any of the files? Any of the documents? Of course not, Mom said. They were just boring work papers. Financial statements and reports and things like that. Nothing personal. Nothing important. Did you see the labels on the boxes? Some of them had labels, she admitted. Work stuff. Case files or something. We figured they were old papers from some project you'd finished. Why would you need to keep work files in personal storage anyway? Doesn't your office have file rooms? Some work files require special storage. Well, these were just taking up space and costing you money, Dad said. Your mother made an executive decision. As your parents, we have a right to step in when you're making poor choices. You had no right to access that unit. We were your emergency contacts, Jennifer reminded me. The facility manager agreed that it was in your best interest. If you didn't want family accessing your stuff, you shouldn't have listed us as contacts. My phone rang. I glanced at the screen. Assistant Director Rebecca Morrison. I need to take this. No, Dad said sharply. You need to finish this conversation and this dinner. Whatever work drama you've got going on can wait until... I answered the call. Morrison. Chief Daniels. I've been briefed on the situation. What's your current location? I'm at my parents' house. Family dinner. Are the individuals who accessed the storage unit present? Yes, ma'am. My mother and sister are both here. I need you to keep them there. Don't let them leave. Federal agents are en route to your location. 12 minutes. Understood. I'm sorry, Chief. I know this is your family. It is what it is, ma'am. The U.S. Attorney's Office is preparing arrest warrants as we speak. Evidence tampering, obstruction of justice, unauthorized access to federal evidence and conspiracy. Your mother's signed statement at the storage facility claiming you were mentally unstable may add additional charges of fraud and defamation. What about the evidence itself? Team secured the tech shop. Everything your family sold is being transported back to federal custody now. The junk removal service is cooperating fully. We should recover 90 to 95% of what was removed. The chain of custody has been documented. The defense attorneys will challenge it, but we have enough video and documentation to overcome those challenges. The trial timeline? Unchanged. 47 days. The Northwood defendants will try to use this tampering incident to their advantage, but the evidence is solid. Their attorneys will claim contamination, but our documentation is thorough. Good. Your family won't face trial for at least 6 to 8 months. But the arrests are happening tonight. I need you to understand that. I understand, ma'am. I'm sorry, Sarah. Don't be. They made their choices. I ended the call. 3 faces stared at me from across the table. Who was that? Mom asked nervously. Your boss. Assistant Director Morrison. Federal Bureau of Investigation. The silence was immediate and complete. Jennifer laughed, but it sounded forced. FBI? What are you talking about? You work in some boring government office doing paperwork. You're not FBI. I'm the chief analyst for the Counterterrorism Division's Regional Task Force. I've held that position for 3 years. That's ridiculous, Dad said, but his voice had lost its certainty. You would have told us if you worked for the FBI. My work is classified. I couldn't discuss it with family members who hadn't been security cleared. This is insane, Jennifer said, standing up. You're making this up to try to make your sad little storage unit sound important. What, were you keeping top-secret files in a public storage facility? Do you hear how crazy that sounds? The storage facility has federal-level security clearance. It's been contracted for overflow evidence storage for the past 5 years. My unit was specifically designated for materials related to the Northwood domestic terrorism case. Mom's face had gone pale. Domestic terrorism? The Northwood network has been operating in this region for 7 years. Weapons trafficking, explosives distribution, money laundering, and planning domestic attacks. We've been building the case for 3 years. Trial starts in 47 days. Everything in that storage unit was evidence for that trial. You're lying, Jennifer whispered. The hard drives you sold for $800 contained encrypted financial transaction records showing money movements totaling $240 million. The laptops had forensic images of communications planning attacks on federal buildings. The filing cabinets contained original documents establishing the money laundering network across 6 states. No, Mom said weakly. No, those were just old work files. Random papers. The storage manager didn't say anything about. The storage manager didn't know the specific contents. The facility is cleared for federal storage, but individual managers don't have access to case details. That's security protocol. Dad was staring at me like he'd never seen me before. You're telling us you're some kind of federal agent? I'm a chief analyst. I hold a level 3 security clearance. My work focuses on financial analysis, communication pattern recognition, and logistical supply chain investigation for counterterrorism cases. Why didn't you tell us? Mom's voice was shaking now. My position requires operational security. Immediate family members can know I work for the FBI, but specific case details, work locations, and evidence storage protocols are classified. We didn't know, Jennifer said desperately. How were we supposed to know? You never said anything. You let us think you were just some boring office worker. I did say I needed the storage unit for work. I told you multiple times not to worry about my finances. I asked you not to interfere. But you didn't say it was federal evidence. Mom was crying now. You didn't say we'd be committing a crime. You committed several crimes, I said quietly. Evidence tampering. Obstruction of justice. Unauthorized access to secured federal materials. Conspiracy to commit fraud based on the false statements you made to the storage manager. This isn't happening, Dad said, but his hands were shaking. You're our daughter. You wouldn't let them arrest your own mother. I don't have a choice, Dad. You removed evidence from a federal investigation. You sold portions of that evidence. You disposed of materials that are crucial to prosecuting a domestic terrorism network. Those choices have consequences. We'll put it all back, Jennifer said frantically. We'll call the junk people in the tech shop and get everything back. We'll return it all. We'll say it was a mistake. Federal agents are already recovering the evidence. The chain of custody has been compromised, but it's being documented. The damage is done. Sarah, please, Mom begged. We're your family. We made a mistake. We thought we were helping you. You can explain that to your bosses. They'll understand it was just a misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding. You planned this. You called the storage facility 3 days ago pretending to be me, claiming I was changing phone numbers so they wouldn't call to verify. You told them I was mentally unstable to gain access. You spent 4 hours removing materials. You sold federal evidence to a second-hand dealer. You posted about it on social media with photos showing you handling sealed evidence boxes. Jennifer's face was white. The Facebook post. Oh God, the Facebook post. With clear images of you removing materials marked Financial Records Northwood investigation. That post is now evidence in the federal case against you. Delete it, Dad said urgently. Jennifer, delete the post right now. Don't, I said quietly. Deleting it now constitutes destruction of evidence and obstruction. Everything is already documented. Screenshots have been taken. The post is part of the federal record. What's going to happen to us? Mom whispered. Federal agents will arrive in approximately 8 minutes. They'll place you and Jennifer under arrest. You'll be taken into custody, processed, and arraigned. The U.S. attorney will determine final charges, but you're looking at potential prison time. Prison. Jennifer's voice was a shriek. For cleaning out a storage unit? This is insane. For tampering with evidence in a federal terrorism investigation. We didn't know. She was crying now too. How could we possibly know? I told you it was work-related. I told you not to interfere with my finances. I asked you repeatedly to trust me. But you never said, Mom started. I couldn't say. That's what classified means. That's what operational security means. That's why I kept my work separate from family. Dad's face had gone from pale to red. This is your fault. You should have told us. You should have made it clear that. I made it clear that you shouldn't access my storage unit. You chose to ignore that. We're your parents. We were trying to help. You were trying to control. There's a difference. Headlights swept across the front windows. Car doors slammed. Footsteps on the walkway. Sarah, please, Mom begged one last time. Please don't let them do this. We're your family. You should have thought about that before you broke into federal evidence storage. The doorbell rang. I stood up and walked to the front door. Through the window I could see 4 agents in FBI windbreakers. I recognized Marcus Webb and 2 members of our team. The 4th was someone from the U.S. Attorney's office. I opened the door. Chief Daniels, Marcus said formally. We have arrest warrants for Patricia Daniels and Jennifer Morrison. They're in the dining room. My father is also present, but he wasn't directly involved in accessing the storage unit. Understood. I stepped aside and let them enter. Behind me I heard Mom start crying harder. Jennifer was saying something about calling her lawyer husband. Patricia Daniels, Marcus said, approaching the dining room with his credentials held up. I'm Special Agent Marcus Webb with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. You're under arrest for evidence tampering, obstruction of justice, and unauthorized access to federal evidence. Mom collapsed into her chair, sobbing. Dad stood up, his face purple now. This is ridiculous. She's not a criminal. She's a mother who is trying to help her daughter. Sir, please step back, one of the other agents said firmly. Jennifer Morrison, Marcus continued, turning to my sister. You're also under arrest for evidence tampering, obstruction of justice, unauthorized access to federal evidence, and conspiracy to commit fraud. I want my lawyer, Jennifer said, her voice high and panicked. I'm not saying anything without my lawyer. That's your right, ma'am. They read them their rights. They handcuffed them. Mom couldn't stop crying. Jennifer was hyperventilating. Dad just stood there looking lost and confused. Sarah, he said as they led Mom toward the door. Please, do something. Talk to them. Make them understand it was just a mistake. I looked at him. At this man who'd spent 29 years telling me I wasn't good enough. Who'd dismissed my career, my choices, my life. Who'd allowed his wife and his golden child daughter to break federal law because they thought they knew better than I did about my own life. It wasn't a mistake, Dad. It was arrogance. And arrogance has consequences. They took Mom and Jennifer out to separate vehicles. Miranda rights were repeated. Doors closed. Engines started. Marcus approached me as the cars pulled away. You okay, Chief? I'm fine. Evidence recovery is complete. Everything's secured back at the federal facility. Chain of custody is documented. The U.S. Attorney says the defense will challenge it, but it won't stick. We have too much video documentation of the tampering. Good. Your family's trial will be separate from Northwood. Probably 6 to 8 months out. They'll likely be offered plea deals given that they weren't aware they were tampering with federal evidence. But the U.S. Attorney wants to make an example of this case. I understand. You should probably get a lawyer yourself. Not because you did anything wrong, but because you'll be called to testify in their trial. Conflict of interest issues, emotional complications, that kind of thing. I'll handle it. I'm sorry this happened, Sarah. Don't be. They made their choices. After Marcus left, I went back inside. Dad was still standing in the dining room, staring at the half-eaten meal on the table. How can you be so calm? He asked quietly. They just arrested your mother and sister. Because being calm is part of my job. Your job. He laughed bitterly. FBI chief analyst. And we never knew. We spent years thinking you were a failure and you were investigating terrorism. Yes. Why didn't you tell us? Would it have mattered? Would you have been proud? Or would you have found some other reason to dismiss what I do? He didn't answer. I need to go, I said. I have to file reports about tonight's incident. Document everything for the official record. What about your mother? What about Jennifer? They'll be processed and arraigned. Jennifer's lawyer husband can help her. Mom will need her own attorney. And you're just going to let them go to prison? I'm going to let the justice system work. They tampered with federal evidence. They obstructed an investigation into domestic terrorism. There are consequences for those actions. They're your family. They stopped treating me like family a long time ago, Dad. Tonight they just made it official. I picked up my phone and my keys. At the door I turned back. For what it's worth, that storage unit cost $270 a month because it was a federally secured facility with biometric access, 24/7 surveillance, climate control and electromagnetic shielding for sensitive electronics. I wasn't wasting money. I was protecting evidence that will put domestic terrorists in prison for the rest of their lives. Sarah. The trial starts in 47 days. Thanks to Mom and Jennifer, the defense will try to claim evidence contamination. But we documented everything. We recovered everything. And we have your wife and daughter on video and social media admitting to exactly what they did. You're really going to let them testify against themselves? I don't have to let them do anything. They already did it. Jennifer's Facebook post has 63 likes and 14 comments. All of it evidence. All of it documented. I walked out to my car. My phone was already ringing again. Assistant Director Morrison probably checking on me. I answered as I got behind the wheel. I'm fine, ma'am. The evidence is secured. Your family is in custody. The U.S. Attorney wants to meet with you tomorrow morning to go over the timeline. I'll be there. Sarah, take tomorrow off. You don't have to. With respect, ma'am, I have work to do. The Northwood trial is in 47 days. My family's poor decisions don't change that timeline. Understood. But the door is open if you need support resources. Thank you, ma'am. I drove back to my sad little apartment downtown. The one they'd mocked. The one that was actually chosen for its secure parking garage and proximity to the federal building where I spent 60 hours a week analyzing financial transactions and communication patterns that saved lives. Inside, I made coffee and opened my laptop. I had reports to file. Evidence documentation to review. Trial preparation to continue. My phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't recognize. I opened it. This is Jennifer's husband, Mark. What the hell is wrong with you? How can you let them arrest your own family? Call me immediately. I deleted it and blocked the number. Another text came through. Dad, this time. Your mother is devastated. Jennifer is hysterical. You need to fix this. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. I blocked that number too. The truth was simple. I'd spent 3 years building a case against a domestic terrorism network that planned to bomb federal buildings, assassinate public officials and destabilize regional infrastructure. I'd traced financial transactions across 6 states and 14 countries. I'd analyzed communication patterns involving 217 individuals. I'd built evidence chains that connected weapons suppliers, money launderers and operational planners. And my family had walked into a federally secured storage facility and tried to sell that evidence for $800 because they thought they knew better than I did about my own life. They wanted me to fix it? To make it go away? I opened my laptop and started typing my incident report. There was nothing to fix. Justice doesn't need fixing. It just needs to run its course. Epilogue. The Northwood trial proceeded as scheduled 47 days later. The defense attorneys tried to challenge the evidence chain of custody based on my family's tampering, but the documentation was thorough. Video surveillance showed exactly what was removed, when and by whom. Recovery logs showed every piece of evidence accounted for and resecured. The judge denied the challenge. 17 defendants were convicted on federal terrorism charges. Sentences ranged from 35 years to life imprisonment. My mother and sister accepted plea deals 6 months later. Mom received 3 years probation and a $50,000 fine. Jennifer received 2 years in federal prison, 3 years probation and an $80,000 fine. Her lawyer husband divorced her before sentencing. Dad never spoke to me again. I was promoted to assistant director of the counterterrorism division 8 months after the Northwood convictions. My sad little apartment now has federal security protocols installed. And I found a new storage facility for sensitive materials. One that doesn't accept emergency contacts.